What's up, guys? Swift here. Today I wanted to talk about our biggest needs for the NFL draft and Ryan Poles' priorities heading into the offseason. Also, as I've done almost every Saturday during the football season, I'm going to be watching college football and scouting prospects all day long. Some weeks I make videos on what matchups and prospects I'll be watching around college football, but things are about to get serious when it comes to scouting as teams finish up their regular season schedules next week, and all of these guys are fighting for 4 playoff spots. I can't wait for the changes that are coming next season, when they change it from 4-team playoffs to 12 spots in the playoffs. Things will be really exciting. Today's matchups around the nation aren't as great as next week, so today I wanted to focus on the Bears' biggest needs heading into the draft and what positions I'll be scouting more heavily. To me, we have 5 needs that need to be addressed this offseason. I will update this list after the season, as there are still a lot of games to be played. But right now, number 1 for me by far is wide receiver. We all know how good DJ Moore is, but the offense needs more weapons across from DJ, and this year's perfect for teams looking to add a wide receiver. This year's draft class features an absolutely special class of wideouts. I think it's just too perfect. It's a huge need for this roster, and a special class of receivers led by Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's not the only stud. There's Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and more, and it's just a uniquely talented class of pass catchers. I think Poles needs to draft one of them. Number 2 on my list of Bears needs is defensive end. Yes, just like the wide receiver position, Poles already brought in a stud at defensive end with Montez Sweat. However, Yannick Ngakoue will be a free agent, and Dominique Robinson has been non-existent this season. Poles will still need to add another edge rusher to play opposite of Montez Sweat. Free agency will have some options. He could bring back Yannick Ngakoue, or even sign a guy like Chase Young or Danielle Hunter, among others. But it's also a good year for defensive ends in the NFL draft, at least early on, because you have guys like Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, Liatu Latu, Chop Robinson, and Braylon Trice all headlining the class of pass rushers. The reason I list defensive end at number 2 is because how hard it is to find elite pass rushers. Guys like this usually get drafted very early on or get paid big money in free agency. At number 3, I have what is probably our biggest need, the center position. Ryan Poles needs to stabilize the center spot on this offensive line. It's the one spot we have not been able to find consistency. I expect both Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick to be gone next year, so finding a center is a top priority. I have it listed as number 3 though, because you simply will not find a center worth taking in the first round of this year's NFL draft. The draft options will be day 2 guys at best, so I think Ryan Poles may choose to go the free agent route at this position, especially with guys like Connor Williams, Tyler Biadasz, and more scheduled to hit free agency. Poles may be able to find a center before the NFL draft. But either way, I think this is a top priority entering the offseason. We need a new center, and a good one. At number 4, I have safety. After those top 3 needs, it's hard to find a glaring need on the roster, but there are a few more spots where we could definitely add more talent. At number 4, I have safety. Jaquan Brisker is already a potential Pro Bowl player. He's young and ascending, and Eddie Jackson is our lone All-Pro on the roster, so at first this doesn't seem like much of a need. However, Jaquan Brisker's had some problems staying healthy, and there's a chance that Poles moves on from Eddie Jackson in the offseason. But even if Ejax stays, Poles could draft a future replacement at the position. Also, Eddie Jackson's best days might be behind him, and he's also struggled mightily to stay healthy. I don't see us making a big move at this position in free agency, but if Poles can bring in a talented safety via the draft, I think he would do it. And then at number 5, I have offensive tackle. Right now, we could be set at the position. Braxton Jones is showing a ton of promise at left tackle, and Darnell Wright looks like a beast at right tackle. Also, Larry Borom wasn't bad at swing tackle, but we could always upgrade there. However, with 2 first-round picks and how important that left tackle position is, Ryan Poles will definitely do his due diligence on players like Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt. I've said it already quite a few times. I think Braxton Jones has elite traits and can be a top 10 left tackle in the NFL. That being said, I'm making this list today with 7 weeks still left to play. Braxton Jones has struggled with penalties and a neck injury this year already, and this is a really important position. I have confidence that he can lock down the position and show more development down the stretch. This would give Poles even more flexibility in the draft, but I have to be realistic, and as of today, Braxton has not proven it yet. So I have left tackle as our number 5 spot when it comes to needs. But I mean, there are other positions as well: quarterback, defensive tackle, cornerback, tight end. What about a new kicker? Those are all options this offseason. And also, what I just said about Braxton Jones, you can even use that same story about Justin Fields in the QB position. I didn't have it in the top 5 list of needs. I don't think quarterback is close to our biggest need, and I think taking a QB in round 1 would be detrimental to this team's success. You guys know how I feel about Justin Fields, but just like Braxton Jones, he's shown potential to be elite, but he needs to show some consistency down the stretch and win some football games. And then one other position I didn't really talk about was defensive tackle, specifically 3-tech. You will see some media outlets list it as our top need heading into the offseason, but I believe they will count on the development of Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens before putting more high capital into the position. Poles invested 2 day 2 picks at defensive tackle, and I'm high on both players. I don't see us drafting a defensive tackle early, especially after extending Andrew Billings for 2 more years as well. But Poles could definitely sign someone in free agency here. But the moral of the story is, I mean, look at how many needs we had this offseason and last year. Poles has already addressed a majority of the entire roster. Even center position, he brought guys in. He signed Lucas Patrick, he drafted Doug Kramer, and he traded for Dan Feeney. But it's time for him to solidify that spot. And then other than that center position, Ryan Poles is entering this offseason with a ton of flexibility for the first time. He can pretty much draft any position he wants because he's done a great job of building this roster with young talent. And even though I believe it's in its best interest to give Fields another year, I have been and will continue to also scout this year's quarterback class. I'll continue scouting Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix Jr. This offseason is huge for our team's future and a big part of the rebuild. Having 2 first-round picks is a luxury in the NFL. Having 2 picks in the top 5 could be special. And that's what this opportunity is for the Bears, a special opportunity for Ryan Poles to add more talent to this roster. A lot of it depends on how this team plays down the stretch, and I'll update our needs after the season ends. But as we sit here at 3-7, I believe this team is in better shape than the national media would lead you to believe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Thanks to everyone who watches. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.
Swifty in the house!
Just hope you have a good day, man, and I just want to say bear down.